First contact. The diplomatic vessel Horizon cut through the swirling nebula clouds surrounding Nyceria, its advanced engines humming with quiet determination. Commander Talia Blackwood stood at the observation deck, her emerald eyes reflecting the kaleidoscope of cosmic colors outside. After 3 decades of encrypted communications and cautious exchanges, humanity was finally setting foot on Nycerian soil. "Nervous, Commander?" asked Lieutenant Dominic Reed, his weathered face showing a hint of concern. Talia smiled faintly, smoothing down her midnight blue uniform adorned with the silver emblem of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Not nervous, Dom. Just aware of what's at stake. The Nycerians control the only known stable wormhole network in this quadrant. Without their cooperation, our colony on Proxima B remains isolated." The ship's AI chimed in with a gentle tone. "Atmospheric entry in 5 minutes, Commander. Nycerian escort vessels are approaching our position." Through the view screen, 3 sleek, crystalline ships emerged from the clouds, their surfaces refracting light like massive diamonds. Unlike Earth's utilitarian vessel designs, the Nycerian crafts resembled organic structures, more like flying sea creatures than mechanical constructs. "They're beautiful," Dominic whispered. "They're also heavily armed," Talia noted, spotting the subtle weapon ports along the vessel's hulls. "Remember your training, everyone. The Nycerians value strength and honor above all else. We show weakness, we lose their respect before we even begin." The landing was seamless, the Horizon touching down on a massive platform carved from what appeared to be a single piece of iridescent stone. As the ship's ramp extended, Talia took a deep breath of filtered air. The briefings had emphasized that while Nycerian atmosphere was breathable for humans, its higher oxygen content and trace minerals could cause lightheadedness in the first few hours. Waiting at the base of the platform stood a delegation of Nycerians, their tall, elegant forms draped in flowing garments that seemed to shift colors with each movement. At their center stood a figure whose presence commanded attention even from a distance, Princess Lysandra, royal heir to the Nycerian stellar throne. Talia led her small team down the ramp, her steps measured and confident. She'd studied Nycerian customs extensively, knowing that first impressions would set the tone for all future relations. The princess was taller than expected, standing nearly 7 feet with a regal bearing that made her seem even more imposing. Her skin had a subtle lavender hue that complemented her striking silver eyes. Delicate scale-like patterns adorned her temples and followed the line of her neck, shimmering with an inner light that pulsed gently in rhythm with what Talia presumed was her heartbeat. "Emissary of Earth," Princess Lysandra spoke, her voice musical yet commanding. "You travel across vast emptiness to reach our realm. What value do you bring that justifies such boldness?" A direct challenge, exactly as the briefings had predicted. Talia met the princess's gaze unflinchingly. "We bring perspective, Your Highness. The universe reveals different truths to different eyes. Earth sees patterns in the cosmos that Nyceria may find valuable, just as we hope to learn from your millennia of stellar observation." The princess's eyes narrowed slightly, her head tilting in what might have been curiosity. "Interesting. Most species offer technology or resources. You offer viewpoints. The most valuable currency is often knowledge," Talia responded. "Technology becomes obsolete. Resources deplete. But understanding endures." Something shifted in Lysandra's expression, the faintest curve of her lips, a subtle brightening of the luminescent patterns along her skin. She extended her palm upward, revealing intricate markings that pulsed with blue light. "Then show me Earth's understanding, Commander Blackwood." Talia blinked in surprise. She hadn't introduced herself by name. Lysandra's almost smile widened. "Yes, we've studied you as well. Did you think your transmissions traveled only one way? Come, the stellar court awaits." The Nycerian capital sprawled before them as they traveled by hovering transport, a city that seemed to grow from the landscape rather than being built upon it. Soaring spires of crystal connected by graceful arches, buildings that spiraled upward like frozen tornadoes, and everywhere, light, refracted, reflected, and resonating through structures in patterns too complex to be random. Your city speaks, Talia observed, watching how light pulses traveled through the architecture. Lysandra gave her an appraising look. Few outsiders noticed that. Yes, the Crystal City is our largest communication network. The light patterns you see carry information, history, art, the collective knowledge of our civilization. It's beautiful. It's functional, Lysandra corrected, though her tone softened. Beauty without purpose is self-indulgence. Everything in Nycerian culture serves multiple functions. Including this diplomatic meeting? Talia asked. The princess's silver eyes locked with hers. Especially this meeting. My father, the sovereign ruler, does not believe Earth has anything of value to offer Nyceria. He permitted this contact only because I convinced him otherwise. And what convinced you, Your Highness? Lysandra turned her gaze to the sprawling city. Your species is young, barely spacefaring by our standards. Yet in a mere century of high technology, you've survived multiple extinction-level threats. You've unified warring nations, developed sustainable quantum computing, and mastered gravitational manipulation. Your adaptability is unprecedented. The transport slowed as they approached the central palace, an imposing structure that seemed to be composed of thousands of interlocking crystal shards, each catching and amplifying light. The stellar court can be overwhelming to outsiders, Lysandra said as they disembarked. Many voices will demand your attention. Many will attempt to provoke emotional responses. She paused, studying Talia with unexpected intensity. I've observed that humans often mistake emotion for weakness. In our culture, passion is strength, but only when properly channeled. Thank you for the guidance, Talia said. May I ask why you're helping me? The princess stepped closer, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Because the future of both our worlds may depend on this alliance, Commander Blackwood. And because there are those within the court who would prefer to see you fail. Before Talia could respond, massive doors swung open, revealing a cavernous hall filled with hundreds of Nycerians. At its center sat a figure whose resemblance to Lysandra was unmistakable, though where her features held curiosity, his held only cold calculation. Sovereign ruler Vaxerin, announced a court herald, voice echoing through the suddenly silent hall. Grants audience to the Terran emissary. Lysandra straightened, all trace of their previous conversation vanishing behind a mask of formal dignity. But as they walked forward, she spoke one final word that didn't translate through Talia's communication implant, a Nycerian word that somehow conveyed both warning and encouragement. Talia squared her shoulders and stepped into the court. The real challenge was just beginning. Cultural collision. The stellar court of Nyceria hummed with tension as Talia approached the imposing crystalline throne. Sovereign ruler Vaxerin's gaze seemed to pierce through her, his silver eyes identical to his daughter's but lacking any warmth. The luminescent patterns along his neck and arms pulsed with a cold blue light. So this is Earth's champion, Vaxerin's voice resonated throughout the chamber, deeper and more melodious than Talia had expected. We anticipated someone more formidable. Whispers and subtle light flickers passed between the courtiers. Talia recognized the calculated insult, her first test. According to her briefings, Nycerians respected those who stood their ground. Formidable takes many forms, Your Eminence, she replied, maintaining steady eye contact. Earth values diplomatic skill as highly as physical prowess. I carry the strength of my world's United Nations. Vaxerin leaned forward slightly, interest briefly flickering across his regal features. Bold words. Yet what does Earth truly seek from Nyceria? Access to our wormhole network? Our quantum crystallography? The secrets of our longevity? Collaboration, Talia answered. Earth stands at a crossroads. We've mastered our solar system but face limitations in deeper space travel. Your civilization has mastered interstellar navigation but struggles with resource sustainability. Together, we could address both challenges. The throne room fell silent. Even Princess Lysandra, standing to her father's right, showed surprise in the subtle brightening of her luminescent patterns. "You've studied us well," Vaxarin conceded. "But knowledge is not understanding." He gestured toward a tall, severe-looking Nyserian with deep indigo skin. "Lord Nixander, my chief advisor, has arranged a series of cultural exchanges. You will participate in these before formal negotiations begin." Lord Nixander stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "The first exchange begins tonight. Your delegation will attend the ceremony of astral harmony." Talia bowed respectfully. "We're honored by the invitation." As the court session concluded, Lysandra approached Talia while other courtiers dispersed. "You impressed my father. Few outsiders manage that feat. Yet I sense he remains skeptical," Talia observed. "Naturally. Nyseria has existed in isolation for millennia. Change comes slowly to ancient civilizations." Lysandra guided Talia toward a private antechamber. "The ceremony tonight is significant. It commemorates our ancestors' first discovery of the wormhole network. I'll study the appropriate protocols." "No," Lysandra interrupted. "Lord Nixander deliberately gave you no time to prepare. He seeks to expose your ignorance of our ways." Her voice lowered. "He opposes any alliance with Earth. He believes younger species are inherently chaotic, destructive." Talia processed this information carefully. Political opposition is expected in any diplomatic mission. What isn't Lord Nixander telling me about tonight's ceremony? Lysandra's luminescent patterns pulsed more rapidly. "Perceptive. The ceremony of astral harmony involves conscious communion with our ancestors through neuroquantum resonance. Participants share memories, emotions, sometimes thoughts." Talia's eyes widened. "Telepathy? A crude term, but essentially correct. Most non-Nyserians cannot achieve the necessary mental state, which Nixander will use to paint Earth as spiritually underdeveloped." Lysandra hesitated, then continued. "I can help you prepare, but it would require a level of mental intimacy unusual between our species." "You'd risk helping me?" "Why?" Lysandra turned to gaze out at the crystal city. "My father rules wisely, but his perspective is anchored in tradition. I've studied countless civilizations across the galaxy. Earth's trajectory is unique, your capacity for rapid adaptation, for reimagining your limitations." She turned back to Talia. "Nyseria needs that perspective if we're to survive the coming galactic shifts." "What shifts?" Talia asked, suddenly alert. "Another conversation, for another time." Lysandra extended her hand, palm up, revealing intricate patterns that began to glow more intensely. "Will you accept my assistance, Commander?" The hours that followed were unlike anything Talia had experienced. In a private meditation chamber deep within the palace, Lysandra guided her through Nyserian mindfulness techniques. The process was both physical and mental, precise breathing patterns, specific body positions, and focused visualization of quantum states. "Your mind is remarkably adaptable," Lysandra noted as they paused. "Most species require months to grasp even the fundamentals." Talia smiled faintly. "Earth's history is filled with cultural exchange. We've learned to absorb new paradigms quickly." "There's something more," Lysandra observed, circling Talia with a curious expression. "You specifically were chosen for this mission." "Why?" Talia hesitated, then decided honesty would serve better than evasion. "Before joining the diplomatic corps, I was a quantum neurologist. I specialized in cross-species consciousness mapping." Understanding dawned in Lysandra's silver eyes. "You've studied telepathic species before. The cetaceans of Europa. The mycelial network of Proxima b. Both exhibited forms of collective consciousness." Talia met the princess's gaze. "Earth isn't as spiritually underdeveloped as Lord Nixander believes." For the first time, Lysandra laughed, a sound like crystal chimes in a gentle breeze. "Perhaps not. Let us continue then." By evening, Talia felt reasonably prepared, though nervousness lingered as she and her small Earth delegation were escorted to the Celestial Observatory, an enormous dome atop the highest spire of the Crystal City. The ceiling was transparent, revealing Niceria's spectacular night sky, dominated by swirling nebulae and twin moons. The observatory floor contained a circular arrangement of crystal platforms where Nicerians were already taking positions. Talia noticed Lord Nixander watching her with barely concealed anticipation of her failure. "Remember," Lysandra whispered as she guided Talia to an empty platform. "Focus on the resonance pattern. Let your consciousness expand without losing your center." The ceremony began with haunting harmonic tones produced by massive crystal pillars surrounding the chamber. As the music built, the Nicerians began to glow, not just their natural bioluminescent patterns, but their entire bodies emanating light that rose upward, intertwining with beams from others. Talia closed her eyes, implementing the techniques Lysandra had taught her. She visualized her consciousness as a quantum wave function, simultaneously localized and extended. At first, nothing happened. Then, gradually, she felt a warmth spreading through her body, a lightness in her mind. When she opened her eyes, she gasped. Tendrils of light were rising from her body, fainter than those of the Nicerians, but unmistakably present. The light joined the complex dance above, weaving into the collective tapestry. And suddenly, she wasn't just in the observatory anymore. Her consciousness expanded outward, touching others, glimpsing fragments of memory and emotion not her own. Ancient Nicerian explorers discovering the first wormhole. The awe and terror of venturing into the unknown. The wisdom accumulated over millennia of cosmic exploration. Through it all, she maintained her sense of self, her human identity remained intact even as she experienced the collective consciousness. This, she realized, was the key that Lord Nixander hadn't expected. Humans were individualistic, yes, but also inherently social, evolved to connect and empathize. When the ceremony concluded, the chamber fell silent. Every Nicerian was staring at her, expressions ranging from shock to amazement to, in Lord Nixander's case, barely concealed displeasure. Sovereign ruler Vaxaran approached, studying Talia with new interest. In 10,000 years, no non-Nicerian has joined the astral harmony on their first attempt. His eyes narrowed. How is this possible? Before Talia could respond, Lysandra stepped forward. Perhaps, Father, we have underestimated the depths of human consciousness. Or perhaps, Lord Nixander interjected, this human has been given unauthorized assistance. His accusatory gaze fixed on Lysandra. The tension in the room crystallized. Talia realized that in helping her, Lysandra had potentially exposed herself to political danger. I received no assistance that violates diplomatic protocol, Talia stated firmly. Earth has studied consciousness across multiple species. We come not as novices to the concept of shared awareness, merely as practitioners of a different approach. Vaxaran's luminescent patterns pulsed rapidly as he considered this. Finally, he nodded. Impressive, Commander Blackwood. Perhaps there is merit in further discussion. He turned to leave, then added, my daughter will continue as your liaison. The formal negotiations will begin tomorrow. As the observatory emptied, Lysandra remained beside Talia, their shoulders nearly touching. You've created quite the stir, Commander. No one expected this outcome. I had an excellent teacher, Talia replied softly. And I, it seems, have found an unexpected ally. Lysandra's silver eyes met Talia's green ones with newfound respect. But be warned, Nixander will not accept this setback quietly. The path ahead grows more dangerous. Talia nodded, feeling the weight of what had just transpired. She had passed the first test, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited tomorrow? As they left the observatory, the twin moons of Niceria cast their light through the crystal dome, illuminating two figures, different in form but increasingly aligned in purpose.